Pixel art survival games have a special way of pulling you in. They look simple, feel familiar, and then suddenly you're hours deep, fighting to stay alive, manage resources, and fix one more mistake before everything falls apart. In this video, we're counting down 16 of the best addictive pixel survival games you must play right now, with titles that master the loop of risk, reward, and progression so well that it's almost impossible to quit. Let's get started. Stardew Valley is a pixel art life and survival simulation game about starting over in a quiet rural town after inheriting a neglected farm, where the player must manage limited energy, time, and resources to survive and thrive. The core of the game revolves around farming crops, raising animals, fishing, foraging, and mining, while carefully balancing daily routines, seasonal changes, and long-term goals. Survival elements come from managing stamina, earning enough money to upgrade tools and buildings, preparing for harsh seasons, and venturing into dangerous mines filled with monsters to gather rare materials. Beyond physical survival, the game emphasizes emotional and social survival through building relationships with townspeople, participating in festivals, uncovering secrets of the land, and deciding whether to preserve the community-driven spirit of the town or prioritize profit. With its calming yet deeply strategic gameplay loop, Stardew Valley blends cozy pixel art aesthetics with meaningful progression, offering an open-ended experience focused on self-sufficiency, community, and personal growth. The Survivalists is a pixel art survival sandbox game centered on being stranded on a procedurally generated island where the player must gather resources, craft tools and weapons, and learn to survive in a hostile environment filled with wildlife, enemies, and mysterious ruins. The game focuses heavily on experimentation and self-sufficiency, requiring players to hunt for food, build shelters, explore dungeons, and unlock new crafting recipes while managing health and survival needs. A unique core mechanic involves training monkeys to copy player actions, allowing automation of tasks like gathering, crafting, and combat, which adds strategic depth and creativity to long-term survival. Exploration is a major theme, with hidden secrets, puzzles, and dangerous biomes encouraging risk-taking in exchange for better gear and progression. Blending humor, challenge, and freedom, The Survivalists delivers a survival experience that emphasizes adaptability, clever problem-solving, and mastery of its systems within a charming pixel art world. Sunhaven is a pixel art fantasy life and survival RPG that blends farming, exploration, and combat within a magical world threatened by dark forces. The game centers on building a sustainable life by growing crops, raising animals, crafting gear, and managing resources while balancing stamina, health, and progression across multiple regions. Survival extends beyond farming into dungeon crawling and real-time combat, where players use weapons, spells, and skills to defeat monsters and gather rare materials. Unlike more grounded life sims, Sunhaven leans heavily into fantasy survival, featuring different races, mana-based abilities, and a deep skill tree system that shapes how players endure and adapt to the world. Alongside physical survival, the game emphasizes social connection through relationships, romance, festivals, and story-driven quests that tie personal growth to the fate of the land. With its colorful pixel art, flexible pacing, and mix of cozy routines and danger, Sunhaven focuses on surviving and flourishing in a magical world through choice, preparation, and adventure. Corekeeper is a pixel art survival sandbox game focused on exploration and survival, deep beneath the surface of a mysterious underground world centered around a powerful ancient core. The game revolves around gathering resources through mining, farming subterranean crops, fishing in underground waters, and crafting tools, weapons, and machinery needed to stay alive in the darkness. Survival is driven by managing hunger, health, and light while expanding a growing base that serves as both a refuge and a production hub. As players explore farther from the core, they encounter increasingly dangerous biomes filled with hostile creatures, environmental hazards, and massive boss enemies that must be defeated to unlock new areas and progression systems. The experience emphasizes gradual mastery, preparation, and discovery, blending cozy base building with tense exploration and combat. With its atmospheric pixel art and open-ended design, Core Keeper is about surviving, expanding, and uncovering the secrets hidden beneath the world, one tunnel at a time.
My name is Thorvald Olafsson, and I am looking for my wife, Rhea. Their trail led me to you.
Sons of Valhalla is a pixel art survival strategy game set in a brutal Viking world, where the player leads a warband across hostile lands in pursuit of conquest, revenge, and survival. The game combines side-scrolling action combat with tactical base building, requiring players to gather resources, construct and upgrade settlements, recruit warriors, and defend their people against constant enemy attacks. Survival is shaped by managing food, gold, morale, and population, while making strategic decisions about expansion, warfare, and defense. Battles play out in real time, blending direct player-controlled combat with command-based troop management, where positioning and preparation can determine victory or defeat. As the campaign progresses, players face increasingly powerful enemies, fortified strongholds, and large-scale sieges that test both combat skill and strategic planning. Through its gritty pixel art and relentless pacing, Sons of Valhalla focuses on surviving and thriving in a harsh world where leadership, preparation, and strength decide the fate of your people.
To save her, I will support you in this.
Terraria is a pixel art survival sandbox game centered on exploration, creativity, and progression in a procedurally generated 2D world filled with danger and opportunity. The game begins with the player struggling to survive by gathering basic resources, crafting tools, building shelter, and defending against hostile creatures, then gradually expands into a deep adventure focused on discovery and mastery. Survival depends on managing health, equipment, and preparation, while exploring diverse biomes such as forests, deserts, jungles, underground caverns, and corrupted lands, each with unique enemies and materials. Combat plays a major role, with dozens of bosses that gate progression and unlock new items, abilities, and world changes that make survival more challenging and rewarding. Alongside combat, players are encouraged to build elaborate bases, automate systems, and experiment with countless weapons, accessories, and crafting paths. Blending constant risk with creative freedom, Terraria is about surviving an ever-evolving world while shaping it through exploration, combat, and imagination. Farworld Pioneers is a pixel art sci-fi survival sandbox game about crash landing on a hostile alien planet and building a new life from nothing while uncovering the mysteries of an unfamiliar world. The game focuses on survival through resource gathering, crafting advanced tools and weapons, constructing modular bases, and managing food, health, and environmental dangers. Exploration plays a major role as players travel across diverse biomes, delve underground, and encounter alien creatures, hostile factions, and ancient technology that can either threaten survival or accelerate progression. Combat is frequent and skill-based, requiring preparation, smart equipment choices, and tactical movement to survive encounters with increasingly dangerous enemies. As the player advances, survival evolves into long-term colonization, automation, and technological growth, transforming a fragile outpost into a self-sustaining frontier settlement. With its open-ended structure and atmospheric pixel art, Farworld Pioneers is about enduring an unforgiving alien world through ingenuity, adaptability, and steady expansion. Kingdom 2 Crowns Call of Olympus is a pixel art survival strategy expansion that reimagines the core gameplay of Kingdom 2 Crowns within a mythological Greek setting inspired by ancient legends. The game is about surviving as a ruler who must build and protect a kingdom while managing limited coins, recruiting citizens, and expanding defenses to withstand relentless nightly attacks from the greed. Survival depends on careful resource management, exploration, and timing, as the player rides across the land to unlock structures, mounts, and technologies while preventing the kingdom from collapsing. Call of Olympus adds a strong narrative layer, tasking players with aiding gods, reclaiming divine artifacts, and facing myth-inspired enemies and bosses that increase the challenge. The side-scrolling perspective emphasizes strategic decision-making rather than direct combat, where preparation and planning determine success or failure. With its minimalist controls, atmospheric pixel art, and mythological themes, Kingdom 2 Crowns Call of Olympus focuses on the fragile balance between growth and survival in a world where one mistake can cost an entire kingdom. Atomicrops is a fast-paced pixel art survival roguelike that combines farming simulation with intense twin-stick shooter combat in a post-apocalyptic world. The game is about surviving season by season by growing and defending crops, exploring dangerous biomes, and fighting waves of mutated enemies while racing against time and limited resources. Survival hinges on balancing two opposing priorities: tending to farmland to earn income and upgrades, and venturing into the wilderness to gather weapons, seeds, and power-ups needed to stay alive. Each day forces quick decisions as enemies attack the farm at night, crops must be harvested before seasonal deadlines, and bosses threaten progress with high-risk encounters. Permadeath and randomization ensure that every run is different, pushing players to adapt strategies on the fly while steadily unlocking long-term upgrades. With its chaotic energy, dark humor, and vibrant pixel art, Atomicrops is about surviving ecological collapse through relentless multitasking, sharp reflexes, and strategic farming under constant pressure. The Flame in the Flood is a pixel art survival adventure game about enduring a ruined wilderness while traveling down a dangerous, ever-changing river in a post-societal world. The game focuses on survival through scavenging abandoned locations, crafting tools and supplies, hunting for food, and managing vital needs such as hunger, thirst, health, temperature, and illness. Progression is shaped by careful planning and risk assessment, as players must decide when to stop along the river to explore and when to push forward before resources run out or conditions worsen. Death is permanent, reinforcing the importance of preparation and long-term decision-making, while unpredictable weather, wildlife encounters, and environmental hazards constantly test survival skills. The journey itself becomes the central theme, blending solitude, resilience, and quiet tension as the player presses onward with only a raft, a dog companion, and limited supplies. Through its moody pixel art, haunting soundtrack, and unforgiving systems, The Flame in the Flood is about surviving against nature itself while moving forward through a broken world that never stops flowing. Drova. Forsaken Kin is a pixel art dark fantasy survival action RPG set in a brutal, Celtic-inspired world where ancient spirits, fractured clans, and forgotten gods shape everyday life. The game is about surviving in a hostile land through exploration, combat, and meaningful player choice, with no hand-holding and a strong emphasis on immersion and consequence. Survival comes from carefully managing resources, learning enemy patterns, crafting and upgrading equipment, and navigating a dangerous open world filled with deadly creatures, hidden ruins, and moral dilemmas that affect how factions respond to you. Combat is deliberate and skill-based, rewarding preparation, positioning, and mastery rather than brute force, while progression is driven by discovery instead of traditional quest markers. The world reacts to the player's decisions, making alliances, rivalries, and outcomes feel personal and earned. With its moody pixel art, grounded storytelling, and unforgiving design, Drova Forsaken Kin is about carving out an identity and surviving in a world that does not care whether you succeed or fail. Death Trash is a pixel art survival action RPG set in a grotesque, post-apocalyptic world where humanity struggles to survive among flesh-warped monsters, decaying civilizations, and psychic horrors. The game is about surviving through exploration, combat, and player-driven choice in a hostile open world that offers little guidance or mercy. Survival depends on scavenging weapons and supplies, managing health and resources, and mastering fast, brutal combat that blends melee, firearms, and special abilities. The world is intentionally harsh and reactive, allowing players to approach situations through violence, stealth, dialogue, or avoidance, with consequences that shape how characters and factions respond. Rather than following a strict narrative path, the game encourages discovery through ruined cities, fleshy wastelands, and strange settlements filled with unsettling lore. With its raw pixel art, dark humor, and unapologetically weird tone, Death Trash is about enduring a broken world by adapting, making difficult choices, and surviving amid chaos and decay. Graveyard Keeper is a pixel art survival and management simulation centered on maintaining a medieval graveyard after the protagonist is mysteriously transported from the modern world into a morally questionable fantasy setting. The game is about surviving through resource management, crafting, and optimization, as players must autopsy bodies, bury or repurpose corpses, improve grave quality, and keep the church and townsfolk satisfied to earn money and progress. Survival comes from balancing stamina, food, time, and materials, while running multiple production chains involving farming, cooking, alchemy, writing, and metallurgy. Unlike traditional life sims, the game embraces dark humor and ethical ambiguity, encouraging players to exploit every system available in order to thrive rather than starve or stagnate. Progression is slow and deliberate, rewarding planning and efficiency over speed, while story elements unfold through quests tied to strange characters and occult themes. With its grim pixel art, satirical tone, and layered mechanics, Graveyard Keeper is about surviving and succeeding in an unforgiving world by turning even death itself into a resource. Moonlighter is a pixel art survival action RPG about balancing two lives: a daring dungeon explorer by night and a humble shopkeeper by day, in a world shaped by mysterious portals. The game centers on surviving dangerous dungeon runs, where players fight monsters, manage limited inventory space, and carefully retreat before losing everything, then returning to town to sell gathered loot in their own shop. Survival is driven by smart risk management, as overextending in dungeons can mean death and lost progress, while pricing items incorrectly can hurt income needed for upgrades. Combat is fast and skill-based, requiring good positioning, timing, and equipment choices to overcome increasingly dangerous enemies and bosses. Outside the dungeons, players invest profits into improving gear, expanding the shop, and helping the town grow, which in turn unlocks new opportunities for survival and exploration. With its charming pixel art and tightly connected systems, Moonlighter is about surviving through ambition, caution, and the constant push and pull between adventure and responsibility.
Just to realize.
Door Kickers Action Squad is a pixel art action survival shooter that focuses on fast, tactical combat and high-risk law enforcement operations carried out in a destructible side-scrolling environment. The game is about surviving intense missions by breaching doors, clearing rooms, rescuing hostages, and neutralizing threats while managing limited health, ammunition, and positioning. Each level demands quick reflexes and smart decision-making, as enemies react dynamically and mistakes can be punished instantly. Survival is reinforced through careful use of cover, equipment upgrades, character classes, and perks that shape different playstyles, from aggressive assaults to cautious, methodical clearing. Missions grow increasingly chaotic with armored enemies, traps, and explosive hazards that force players to adapt on the fly. With its punchy combat, retro pixel art, and emphasis on tactical survival under pressure, Doorkicker's Action Squad is about staying alive long enough to complete the mission by combining precision, preparation, and relentless momentum.
Salir Aristalak.
Regions of Ruin is a pixel art survival action RPG centered on the collapse and gradual restoration of a once great dwarven civilization in a monster-infested fantasy world. The game is about surviving both as an individual warrior and as the last hope of a scattered people, combining exploration, combat, and long-term rebuilding into a single progression loop. Players venture through dangerous regions filled with hostile creatures, traps, and environmental threats, scavenging weapons, armor, and resources while managing health, stamina, and survival supplies. Combat is deliberate and skill-driven, rewarding positioning, timing, and preparation rather than mindless fighting, especially as enemies become more aggressive and numerous in later areas. Survival is deeply tied to reconstruction, as reclaimed resources are used to rebuild ruined towns, restore infrastructure, and unlock craftsmen, traders, and upgrades that strengthen both the player and the wider world. Each restored settlement provides tangible benefits, creating a sense of momentum and purpose while pushing players to take greater risks in unexplored regions.